Hello, and welcome to the age of supply chain attacks. Welcome to Group-IB High-Tech Crime Trends Report 2026. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kamo Basentsyan. I am leading the Unified Risk Platform here in Group-IB, Asia Pacific, and I am based out of our global headquarters, Singapore. Let's talk before our High-Tech Crime Trends Report a little bit about our company, about Group-IB. Many years ago, we started as a little investigation bureau, and so far we did more than 1.6 thousand successful investigations and helped to save more than $1 billion USD for all of our 600 enterprise customers globally. We work with law enforcement agencies, with Europol, with Afripol, with Interpol, and help with investigations, as well as provide our technologies, from threat intelligence to fraud protection, from attack surface management to MXDR, Managed Extended Detection and Response. Moving to the next slide. When I'm doing these webinars, I receive a lot of questions. Come on, you have a lot of intelligence. You have a lot of information about threat actors. What do you do with them? This slide tells you what we do with them. We work with law enforcement agencies, and we so far did 52 in 2025, helped international and local law enforcement agencies. We basically helped to arrest almost 2,000 cyber criminals across the globe. You can see the numbers on the slide. We are not another cybersecurity vendor. We really fight cyber criminals. And moving to the next slide, moving to the crisis of trust deepens topic. Moving to the next slide about the whole report. So this is the summary of the Group-IB High-Tech Crime Trends Report 2025. Basically, what it tells you. First of all, let's go from bottom. Japan is amongst the top 10 jurisdictions targeted by supply chain attacks. What we see in Japan and what we see globally is threat actors, the scale, the speed, and the tools that they are using. It is much easier to attack from every different angle and penetrate the infrastructure through different supply chain third-party vendors. We see a little shift from selling massive data from initial access brokers to being ransomware specific. We see evolution of social engineering through different AI, artificial intelligence tools. Little phishing is no more created one by one. Thousands of different Phishing-as-a-Service or Spam-as-a-Service tools for threat actors. Impersonations are created by AI. Deepfake, fake phishing emails, and other attacks are happening daily. Moreover, it's not only about Phishing-as-a-Service or Spam-as-a-Service, it's also about a Ransomware-as-a-Service. And all these tools and artificial intelligence, they help us, right? And they help threat actors. So very briefly, reasons why we decided to discuss about the interconnectivity and impact of supply chain attacks. Let's go one by one. Let's move to the next slide and talk about phishing. So far, in 2025, we saw almost 70,000 different phishing attacks on financial services. Huge number. We see 32 new active ransomware affiliate programs in 2025. Moreover, we saw almost more than 4,000 different ransomware attacks launched by the top 10 ransomware groups in 2025. Let's move to the next slide and talk about phishing-driven identity compromise in the supply chain. So when phishing becomes supply chain access, when we talk about phishing, AI basically supercharges everything. Generative AI automates kit creation. It helps to create personalized attacks. And these stolen identities, basically one compromised account, enables penetration in everywhere. It's either you create a social media impersonation or you steal a token. It gives basically attackers trusted access to vendors, to SaaS, to critical infrastructure, to third parties, to supply chain, and it spread risk across the entire customer ecosystem. Let's move to the next slide and talk about the Phishing-as-a-Service platform. In 2025, we discovered and we continued tracking the Tycoon 2FA, a Phishing-as-a-Service platform. On the slide, you can see one of the phishing links targeting Microsoft. So basically, the Tycoon 2FA, it lowers the barrier for adversary in the middle attacks that bypass multi-factor authentication. So how it works, basically. The link loads obfuscated JavaScript that renders a fake but quite convincing login interface. You go there. Once you enter the credentials and 2FA code, a post request sent this data along with cookies and browser fingerprinting information to the attacker's server. So they receive this data, they store it, and immediately use it to hijack the session. As a result, they bypass MFA immediately. It's not only about phishing as a service. Let's move to the next slide and talk about spam as a service. Supply chain attacks can't scale without access. In 2025, that access is increasingly created by automation rather than people. So we discovered Spam-GPT, underground spam as a service offering fully autonomous spam agents. They give you end-to-end spam campaign via different integrations. Screenshots automatically created. AI automatically assists in creating different templates, who to attack, how to attack, what to send, where to send. Moreover, these GPTs, they're trained, they know different trends for specific industries, specific countries, and different verticals. Pretty powerful tool for our spammers. Moving next slide and talk about the phishing page generation. In mid-2025, we identified an active phishing campaign by a threat actor known as Thunders. We believe they are originating from Nigeria. The campaign targeted organizations in Malaysia. Basically, the victims were prompted to log in to access shared files and stole credentials via Telegram bots. Analysis of phishing kills, we revealed the indicators of generative AI use. So basically, phishing attacks are no more done manually. Not only phishing attacks, but every part of kill chain of every attack is supported by AI. Let's talk a bit more about statistics. What we see. Moving to the next slide, globally, we see that financial services, government, and military are still top targets if we're talking about phishing attacks. This is the global trends. Then internet services, logistics, and telecommunications, as you can see on the slide. If we're talking about Asia Pacific, we see the same trend. Financial services on top, government and military on the second. Then we have telecommunications, oil and gas, food and beverages, And this is very true for Japan as well. If we want to compare to other regions, we can see sometimes a little different, but sometimes a little same information. For example, moving to the next slide, to Europe, we can see that financial services are the main targets for phishing attacks. Then logistics, then government and military. Little shift from what we see in APAC and global. But if we move next to the Middle East and Africa, we see that internet services are becoming more interesting for phishing attacks. Then we have financial institutions and logistics. Top 4 and 5, government and military and professional services. North America has their own trends. Information technology, financial services, and internet services. As well as moving to the next slide, to Latin America, we again see huge attacks targeting financial services. Last but not least, the Central Asia, same pattern as in Latin America. So you see different regions, they have different trends. Different threat actors, they attack different industries. That's why, by the way, we have our own digital crime resistance centers spread globally to analyze deeply all these attacks that are relevant only specifically to this and that industry in this and that country. Let's move to the next slide and talk about social engineering with AI. Moving to the next slide, we can see scam. Phishing is a problem, but scam is a huge problem as well. And AI helps to create basically whatever you want. Once phishing is automated, trust is the next bottleneck, right? On the slide, you can see examples of different investment scam schemes using different high-profile business and government leaders. Supply chain attacks are often associated with software, but the reality is that supply chains, they run on relationship, right? And using deepfake, using fake photos, fake videos, threat actors gain this trust, and we fall into this. And we give our logins, passwords, we send money, and give them access to our infrastructure. This is reality of 2025, and this is reality of 2026. But it's not only about fake social media accounts, impersonations, deepfakes out there. It can be absolutely part of your daily job. Moving to the next slide, we want to highlight what happened in 2025. We saw a lot of deployment of these fake IT professionals. So AI is not only used to create fake social media impersonation pages, but it can change your face in real time, so a threat actor can try to apply and get a job inside of the organization. And you can see on the slide, this is a real life example. They fabricate resumes, identities, LinkedIn profiles, deepfake video interviews. They try to do whatever possible to be part of the infrastructure. Let's move to the next part and talk a bit more about sale of corporate access on the dark web. So we covered a bit phishing, deepfake attacks, impersonations, scam, how they get this data, logins and passwords. What they do next, they sell it, right? Moving to the next slide. These are the trends of different corporate access detected and sold on dark web by region in 2025. You can see that North America is leading so far, with Asia Pacific having more than 250 different cases. What's important here? Initial access brokers, the threat actors, right, guys, who are selling this data, they once were known for selling compromised credentials and different footholds on public forums, like a little market. But in 2025, we see a significant shift towards the closed-door operations. So they basically deliver and sell privately data to, for example, ransomware gangs, rather than selling it publicly. Huge shift in AIB's, initial access brokers' behavior. Talking about the ransomware, let's move to the next slide, and we'd like to present the distribution of ransomware attacks on the supply chain in 2025. Next slide shows you 5 points here. First of all, we see a fragmentation and the rise of affiliates of different ransomware as a service platforms. 2025, we saw a collapse of major ransomware as a service platforms, and this lack of trust helped to form and create new ransomware as a service threat actors from previous affiliates. At the same time, point number 2, established ransomware groups like Akira and others, they doubled down on maturity, on operational maturity. They minimize reliance on affiliates or external brokers. They have basically everything inside of the infrastructure, and they operate independently. The third point, what I've already covered, initial access brokers, they operated pre-filtered, high-quality, they sell high-quality data directly to ransomware as a service or ransomware operators, typically through Telegram, by the way. Fourth point and fifth point, to counter different infrastructure takedowns, some groups, they use different decentralized components. For example, Deadlock ransomware, They used blockchain-based smart contracts to basically rotate proxy infrastructure dynamically. And of course, using all the technologies out there, ransomware actors increasingly favored supply chain intrusions to bypass perimeter defenses. You may have all the technologies to defend your perimeter, but your third party and supply chain may not have it. Moving to the next slide, let's talk about trends and statistics, what we have. This is the statistics of global ransomware attacks in 2025 on the slide. We can see that top 10 industries attacked by ransomware groups are manufacturing, real estate, and professional services. Talking about ransomware gangs, top 10 ransomware groups by number of attacks: Killing, Akira, and Globe. By the way, Killing is highly targeting Asia Pacific as well as Akira and Japan. What we can see here and what we can see on the next slide, statistics about Asia Pacific. Still, manufacturing top. We have financial services, real estate, professional services leading. And you can see the number of attacks targeting Japan. 69 is pretty high across Asia Pacific. A little trend, what we see, ransomware groups, they don't care anymore. They basically attack whoever pays money. If we compare statistics, if we move to the next slide, you can see the Europe attacks in 2025, and a bit different picture with manufacturing, professional services, real estate, and transportation among the top. Next slide, the Middle East and Africa ransomware attacks, and we can see real estate as well as financial services being among the first one. The distribution between countries are on the slide. Let's move to the next, and these are the statistics related to North America, and again, real estate being number one, manufacturing, professional services, and healthcare. As you can see from different regions, it's not only financial services. Actually, financial services, yeah, bank and fintech organizations, they are pretty mature if we talk about defense. But others are not. Supply chain and third parties, they are not. And they are the primary target because they can easily pay money. The same picture we can see moving to the next slide, talking about the Latin America. Professional services, healthcare, manufacturing, and financial services. Let's move to the next slide and talk about key supply chain focused threat actors. This is again our perspective. This is what we see. This is what Group-IB sees, and this is what Group-IB globally sees. Not only globally, but targeting Japan as well. I won't speak very deeply about each threat actor. Just want to show you, if you want to understand and analyze deeper about each of them, we are absolutely ready to support you and send this data. Please reach out to us. Let's move to key supply chain focused threat actors on the next slide. As we discussed before, we started as a little investigation bureau many years ago. And we still are doing that. We are very actor-centric. We analyze threat actors throughout investigations, through our digital forensics, and many things, everything basically. So we are very actor-centric. And this actor-centric approach is not only within our technologies, but also within our reports. That's why I want to show you these key supply chain focused threat actors. And this is our perspective. This is what we see. This is what we analyzed. Let's move to the next slide, to the first one, Scatter Spider. I think we all heard about them. First thing in 2022 with aliases like Storm 0875 or UNC 3944, Lapsus, and so on and so forth. You can see the tool set, the skill set, the targeted industries and targeted jurisdictions on a slide. This is the first one that we want to highlight. Again, if you want deeper information about each threat actor, please reach out to us. We will be absolutely ready to provide you details. Let's move to the next threat actor, Lazarus. Likewise, we are showing you their aliases, their tool set, their skill set, and targeted industries. Moving to the next, we have the Hafnium, Chinese-speaking threat actor, first seen in January 2021, with the toolset, targeted industries, and skill sets on a slide. So these three threat actors that we showed you, not only targeting global companies, but also companies in Japan as well. And this particular group are targeting financial services, government and military, education and energy with telco and healthcare. The next threat actor, Shai-Hulud, or Singularity, you may know from these alliances. The toolset, the industries, and the skill set you can see on the slide. Basically, they target everyone, globally and in Japan. The next one is 888. No other alliances we've seen so far. Pretty active threat actor, by the way, posting different information on dark web, mainly information about source code details of different infrastructure. They target basically everyone. This is the skill set and jurisdictions on a slide. Next one is Dragon Force, first seen in August 2023. Dragon Force ransomware, you may have heard about them from this angle. Again, the jurisdictions, the tool set, the skill set, and industries you can see on the slide. Very broad attacks. We are ready to provide you all the TTPs, techniques, tactics, and procedures, all the indicators of compromise, malware, tools, and everything else they are using. Please reach out to us. Moving to the next slide, and I want to conclude our webinar with a simple statement. Trust is no longer implicit. It must be verified, it must be monitored, and secured continuously. And we are absolutely ready to help you. Thanks for your attention. If you have any questions, we are absolutely ready to answer them.